Stage. Hi guys, how we doing? Just hanging out, waiting for some people to join us here tonight. And yeah, it's welcome to open mic night tonight. Link is at the top of the chat. It should be shown all the way through, I believe. Until we get somebody in here, we'll just kind of hang out and wait and see who comes and joins us. Hopefully, we get somebody. I know a lot of people said, "Hey, well, open mic night, that's a bad thing." No, actually, it's not. I'll be honest with you. Anybody jumps in, "Hey, how you doing, Julia?" Anybody that jumps in on the open mic night, for me, if I don't recognize you and I haven't seen you in other like chats and stuff and things like that, you will not be out of the green room. You'll be left in the green room because that's the way it works. I mean, I need to know who I'm talking to and who I'm talking with, and that's the way it goes. Anybody that's set up to be able to do open mic night, by all means, jump in. And when you pop into the green room, I'll get a notice of it. And if I know you, I will invite you to join me. If I don't know you, I won't do it. So that's the way it works. So we got an update with my baby chicken. The baby chicken is alive and well and doing awesome. And now it's too big to go back out the chipmunk hole, so it's even better. I think it's going to be another he. I'm not real sure yet. It's either the daughter or the son of my Bantam chicken, my Bantam rooster. And Mama's not much bigger than the Bantam rooster, so I'm going to guess that the Bantam rooster is the father. Yeah, Julia, I hear you. And actually, going into the hard to breathe part, I've been smoking for many years. In the military, when I went in, when I did my basic training, I quit smoking altogether. And when I graduated from basic training, my parents came down for a graduation ceremony. And the first thing I said when I got in their vehicle, because it smelled like cigarettes, was, "Who's got a cigarette I can bum?" It was that bad. And I just decided that that was a bad way to start your life again. You just quit smoking for 6 7 months, and I started smoking again. In AIT, I was allowed to smoke, and actually, my I was like a squad leader, and my squad was in charge of picking up cigarette butts, along with many other things like cleaning bathrooms and stuff like that. And we went in to do the final cleanup for everybody. And it was nasty. It was always nasty. We emptied the ashtrays. We picked up cigarette butts off the ground where people weren't using the ashtrays. It was all that stuff. And I actually reached out. Everybody has that TV commercial. It says 1-800 quit now. Well, that is the Caswell Park Cancer Institute that reaches out and says, "Hey, we'll send you patches. We'll send you the gum." And they sent me the patches. They sent me the gum. And I was like, she's like, called me up here just a couple days ago, and she says, "So how you doing?" I says, "Well, I'm doing great, but I haven't quit smoking yet. I've got cigarettes in my possession, and I'm not going to quit until there's no more cigarettes in my possession. It's not because it's too expensive for me. I live in New York. We have Indian reservations everywhere. I'm spending $100 a month on cigarettes. So it wasn't that I couldn't afford to keep smoking. It's that my health says you damn well better quit. It's that. You just better quit smoking." And so I am sitting back and I'm counting the days. Actually, I'm down to, I think I got 1.5 cartons of cigarettes left, And when she called and talked to me, I told her, I says, call me back on the 27th. Because by then I should be totally out of cigarettes. If I get down to the last pack and it's first thing in the morning, that last pack's gonna get put in the trash can, taken out to the curb, and just, hey, see you later. I don't want you anymore. I'm gonna get rid of all my ashtrays, and I'm gonna start repainting my house. I want to get rid of the smell of smoke. I got these special car bombs to put in both of my vehicles that I drive right now that takes the cigarette smell out of a vehicle. And I'm going to do that. I'm going to get the ashtrays out of the cars. I'm going to set them bombs off, and I'm just going to run it. And I'm going to do what I can to quit smoking, using the patches, using the gum. One thing they did tell me is that, cinnamon will help deter the want for a cigarette. And I searched and I searched and I searched. I was looking for the cinnamon round hard candies. And Walmart doesn't sell them. They sell hot tamales. Well, that's not made out of cinnamon. That's made out of all kinds of acid. And so I was like, well, I need the hard cinnamon candies that are made with real cinnamon. And I reached out and I found them. And it was at a dollar store that had them. And I made the remark, hey, Walmart doesn't even sell these anymore. And they're going, yeah, we know. That's why we like to have them available. And I was like, all right, I need to have it. Yeah, cutting down is good. I mean, I used to get up in the morning, while my coffee was brewing, I'm smoking my first cigarette. I'm to the point now where I wait an hour and a half before I'll reach out to grab that first cigarette. And I'm also doing moringa, which is supposed to help deter you from the want and the need of a lot of things that aren't good for you too. So I don't know how that's working out because I've only been doing it for like 2-3 days. But yeah, I reached out to the dollar store and I was like, you got these? And they're like, yeah. And I said, well, I want as many packages as you got. I didn't buy as many as they had because they had cases of them. Yeah, 2.5 packs a day, that is like absolutely phenomenally weird. I can't do 2.5 packs a day. I'm going to say I probably do 1.5 packs a day. Because there are days like today that I smoke a little bit more, and it's just because I'm trying to use them up. And I want to get rid of it. I want to get it out of my life. It's one of those things where you just can't keep doing the same old and expect different results. That's the Democratic policy, you know what I'm saying? So I'm working on trying to be able to say, hey, enough is enough, Can I find things to do to occupy my hands and occupy my time where I'm not thinking about sitting around and, smoking a cigarette or, it's 12 o'clock, time to open a beer. I'm looking at trying to get those things going, and I'm doing pretty good at it. Yeah, Julia, that's one of my problems. When I'm driving, that's my biggest issue. When I'm driving, what else do you do when you're driving? I hate that part. I really do. I hate that part. It takes me a half hour to get to the closest town other than my local stores. It takes me a half hour to get to the next town over. I'll probably smoke a cigarette on the way there, another one while I'm there, another one on my way back home, maybe 2. And that's a hard thing to get away from. Driving for me, because driving is actually kind of stressful. And, she said to me, she said, well, what do you have for stress relief? Well, I have a girlfriend that had breast cancer, and she had to have a mastectomy. That's a pretty good driver for me. She really wants me to quit smoking because I'm stinking up the house, And like I say, I'm gonna start repainting. That's gonna be one of the things I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start repainting. Pink wintergreen meats, mints rather. I got a moth flying around, so if I swat something, don't be surprised. It just landed on my little light over here. I actually have wintergreen lifesavers in my car. And when my mom is riding with me, she's 90 years old, so she can't smoke anymore, or at least she's not supposed to. I don't think she is. Last time I opened her drawer, I didn't find an ashtray with foil inside of it, so she could make it look like a brand new ashtray when she got done. I think she actually did quit, although last time I did a cigarette run, she asked me to buy 2 cartons. And I hope it's not for her. I hope. But it's one of them things. Yeah, actually, I was told that, the pink wintergreen mints, actually, they look like the Pepto Bismol mints. Those things are actually pretty cool. I actually like those. Unfortunately, I can't find a store locally that sells them. I wish I could because I do like those. Some things you can do to take away the thought of wanting to smoke. For me, it's keeping my hands busy. So one of the things that's going to happen immediately once I run out of cigarettes, I've got a 10 by 10 white canopy with 4 walls. I'm going to be setting that up in my driveway. I'm going to be taking the planer out of my garage, setting it up under that canopy, and I'm going to be working on rebuilding my stairs coming up here to my office area. They're all going to be redone in cherry, and I don't know how. I seriously don't, but I'll figure it out as I go. I've got like a whole truckload of cherry in my driveway right now, covered in the tarp, and I'm going to do it with cherry. I'm going to plane it down, sand it down, cut it down, do what I got to do, and then I'm going to put mahogany stain on it to kind of turn it red, and I'm going to bring it all the way up and work it from there. Boy, this mouth is going to drive me nuts. Hold on. There we go. Oh, okay. I think I got it. Nope. Well, maybe. It's hopping up and down. I don't know. I don't even know how it got up here. But yeah, I mean, it's one of those things. You have to really be. Yeah, cherry with mahogany is very beautiful. And once it's all said and done, then I'm gonna go over it with like I think it's called Zari urethane. It's a water-based urethane. It's not slippery by any means. I'm gonna do that as like the finishing touches on it. And then I'm gonna bring my employee Jimmy back, and we're gonna redo the railing with the same cherry. The posts are already there. The handrails we're gonna eliminate, and nope, I didn't pull it. It's still flying around. The posts are already there, so and they're very solid. So we're gonna go around those posts with cherry, and now we're gonna do cherry handrails on top and cherry boards on the bottom. And I've got these really nice balusters that are made of wrought iron that we're going to put around the bottom of it to kind of block it off. But he knows what we're doing. I have no clue. I mean, I'm not going to say I've never built stairs. I've built stairs, but I've never had to do the balusters and stuff the way he's planning on doing it. My last house that I owned, that we had to go in and put a new set of stairs in because the stairs were like, it was a farmer's house. Those stairs were like this. So I was able to bring them out, lower them down, build a new set of stairs. I actually had a guy that came over and gave me a quote and told me how many boards I needed and what sizes they were and all that fancy stuff. And when he did that, he was like, okay, I'll be back in 2 weeks and I'll build your stairs. Well, I waited like a month and a half and he never came back. And I got tired of waiting on him, and I was like, you know what? He's already given me all the boards I need. He's already told me what I need to do. I'm just going to go ahead and do it. I'm not waiting on him anymore. And I rebuilt the stairs to that house, and they turned out awesome. My dad came over and said, "Oh man, Bill did such a good job putting these stairs in." And I was like, "Bill didn't even come back to do the job. I did it." And my dad's like, "Really?" And I was like, "Yeah." My dad was a plumber. And when it came time to go in and do all new water lines and everything in my house, I cut all the pipes. I fitted them all together. His only job was to come back and sweat them all in because I wasn't going to do copper for one. And for two, I'm not going to take a chance of burning the house down. That was an old house. And my dad came back and he's going, wow, man, whoever laid out all these pipes and stuff, they did an awesome job. And I'm like, Dad, I did it. I took the responsibility of being the guy that says, hey, everything that's been done in this house pretty much has been done by me or my brother Donnie. Since then, my brother Donnie passed away. So I'm kind of like now doing it on my own. If my brother Donnie was still alive today and in a good mental state, which he wasn't when he passed away, I would have brought him in and said, hey, bro, I need help. And he would have been right here doing it with me. He was a cabinet maker. That guy could take all kinds of old stuff and be able to just go into somebody's house and make beautiful cabinets out of it and stuff. And he did it for a living for a long time. When he got disabled, I had to go in front of the Social Security disability judge, and he says, can you tell me what your brother used to do that he can't do today? And I says, I can give you every example you want. He used to be a cabinet maker. He was very good at it. He was probably the best cabinet maker I've ever had. When we were in front of that judge, I says, now he wants to paint my house. I cannot allow him to climb up a ladder because he'll go 3-4 feet up a ladder, decide that he doesn't remember what he was doing, turn around and take one step back off that ladder. Sometimes it could be 8-10 feet in the air. And it was like a really, really bad thing. So it's like, Julia, I watch videos. Trust me, I watch so many videos. The problem I have with this set of stairs is that the old stairs are still there. They weren't built right. So when you step on a step, it goes down and it comes back up. We tried to do our best to strengthen them, and I was just like, yeah, we can't really do much more with that. So I'm just going to overlay the sets of stairs. And when I get up to the top, I may have to cut those stair boards like really, really thin just to show the cherry. And then do the bullnose on the front of them. I'm not real sure. My employee, Jimmy, if he was here, he would be able to say, yeah, this is what we need to do, and I'll go out and do it, and I'll be right back. Problem was, he's slow. And when you're paying somebody per hour, speed kind of counts, I had him working on my back porch. That back porch has been on hold. I want to get back onto the back porch. I want to get it finished, but I really don't want to do it by myself because I think it's a two-man job. Unfortunately, the seed business isn't providing enough income right now due to inflation, the high cost of shipping and handling. My God, they're getting ready. I think they've already done it, actually. Yeah, they did it Saturday. The United States Postal Service just raised their rates again Saturday. What we used to be able to ship to California for $3 is now costing us over $5. I think with this new raise, it's going to be like $5.25 to $5.50. So it's really, really outrageous. Yeah, my dad was a jack of all trades. He was a plumber. He was a salesman. He sold Rich Plan Foods. He sold houses. He was the local code enforcement officer for a while. He was the local plumbing inspector for a long time. And when he actually retired, his boss, the guy whose name was Mark Ligas, his Ligas Plumbing and Heating, his boss actually reached out to me and said, you want to take over for your dad? And I'm like, yeah, I don't know, maybe. What am I going to make? And he says, I'll start you out at $15 an hour. I'll teach you everything your dad knew. And it had to do with electrical, and it had to do with plumbing and high vac and all that stuff. And I'm like, yeah, I'm interested, And my dad actually got mad at me for talking to him about taking over my dad's job when he retired. And I was like, Dad, he's offering me good money. He's like, yeah, but he didn't offer me that money when I left. And I was like, okay, I guess I'm not going to do it then. I'm gonna leave it alone. And I got a hold of Mark Ligas, and I said, Mark, I can't do it, man. My dad is so PO'd because you weren't paying him what you offered me to start as a journeyman. And I can't do that. I can't justify it. It doesn't make sense to me. And he's like, but you're not your dad. You're younger. You can move faster. You can do this. You can do that. And I was like, yeah, but no, I'm not taking the job. I'm sorry. And when I got my job at Natrium Products making baking soda, the boss over there, Bob Kemp, said to me, he says, well, you're going to have to learn how to do this. You're going to have to learn how to do that. And I'm like, hey, I was all ready to learn how to do all that stuff with my dad's boss, taking over from my dad, but I wasn't accepting the money that he was willing to give me based off of what my dad was making. And he's like, well, how much did your dad make? And I told him, and he says, well, how much would you be making? And I told him, he says, all right, I'll tell you what, I'll start you out at what this guy offered you. But the only difference is you have to learn how to make baking soda. You can learn how to do piping and plumbing and all that stuff. And I was like, all right, cool. I'm game. Let's go. But the funny part is that they had a copper pipe break in the plant. And he was like, well, your dad was a plumber. Swept this together. And I was like, I don't know what you're asking me to do. So he sat down and he showed me, well, this is how we do it. And I was like, all right, that's cool. You know, if a pipe is dripping and you want to be able to solder that pipe, you take a piece of bread and you wad it up and you stuff it into the pipe, and that way it doesn't drip anymore, and you can go in and you can swat it in, and then you turn the pressure back on and it flushes the bread out. All right, that's cool. I never knew that. So I kind of learned a lot from my old boss. He was a chemical engineer. He was a mechanical engineer. He was an electrical engineer, you know? So I was like, I like this. This is a good job. Yeah, Julia, that's awesome. That's awesome. My parents actually got into buying old houses, and they took on a partner because, you know, you got to buy the house and then you got to have the money to fix it up and then put it up for sale and stuff. Of course, my dad was in real estate, so he could sell the house, but he took on another partner that had money. He wasn't a very good contractor. I mean, he was actually pretty crappy of a contractor. If he was up on a ladder, every time a car drove by, he'd go over and he'd wave to the person driving by rather than paying attention to the job at hand. But he had the money, you know, and I learned from my dad on that stuff. I don't know how old I was. I think it was maybe 11 years old. They bought a house 2 doors down from their house, and it was from the guy that sold them the land to build their house on. And I learned how to do a lot of stuff with my dad on that house. Of course, the financer was always there. And I told my dad, I says, you know, you got to get this guy out, man. He's hurting you. He spends more time waving to cars driving by than he does actually doing any work. And my dad's like, yeah, I know, but we can't do it without him. And I was like, yeah, no, you can. You can do it without him. Sell this house. And then now you sold this house. You just bought the property next to our house, and you bought the property on the other side of our house. So you bought this house. You own these two properties. When this house gets sold, pay him off what he put in to be able to make it work. And now you got two more properties we can sell. And we can develop those two properties. Well, it turned out my dad's brother bought the house to the left or to the right of us as you're looking at the street. And another guy bought the house that was my dad's friend to the left of us. Well, that guy also was a plumber. His name was John Ferry. And so we went in and we helped them build their houses. John Ferry did the plumbing of his own. Dad and John Ferry did the plumbing for my uncle. I helped in with the electrical. I helped in with the construction and all that stuff. And it was awesome. I mean, that's why I want to build my own house. That's why I want to buy property in Arkansas and build my own house. The only thing I don't really have a lot of experience on, but I know how to do it, is laying block. I've watched Melanie and Gary lay theirs. I've watched, yeah. Brain fart. Still can't come up with a name, but I watched them build theirs. And I'm like, if you guys can do it, I know I can. There's no doubt. I know I can. And I think if I came into a problem, I would probably be able to walk up to Gary from Gumby from Junk to Gems, say, Gumby, this is what I want to do. I'm not real sure how I do it, but he's watched the same videos. And between the two of us, we'd figure it out. Without a doubt, we'd figure it out. Yeah, well, that's another thing, Julia, is that, for me, if I'm building something, I don't want anything old used. My landlord, before we bought this house, was that way. He saved every piece of wood he could ever save. Didn't matter what it was. He'd be going, well, why don't you use this? Why don't you use that? No, everything I build out of brand new wood. Everything. It doesn't matter if it's like a wall-to-wall entertainment system, which I built. It doesn't matter if it's a stand-up entertainment arcade game. Everything I do is done out of brand new material. And if I screw it up, I go buy more brand new material, and then I put it together that way. I'm not an old person that uses wood or tries to save the bent nails and straighten them out on the cement block kind of guy. Everything's got to be done with brand new stuff. Everything. I don't care what it is. It's all got to be done with brand new stuff. And for me, it's one of those things whereas I have to make sure everything plays out. There's one of them things where, my dad, he saved every nut, every bolt, every washer, every screw, every plumbing fitting that wasn't used on a job. He saved all that stuff. Did it save us a lot of money? Yeah, it did over the years, but the space it takes up and how long is it going to take before you need it? For me, it makes no sense. If you need it now and you can just go buy it now and it's brand new, chances are it might be better. I remember like the square nuts and square bolts. They don't make them anymore. You know what I'm saying? And those were tough. Oh my God. I think a grade 5 bolt is only half as tough as one of those old bolts was. So they would have been like a grade 10 bolt back in the day. You can't buy them. Nobody sells them. But yeah, well, that is an issue. It does shrink a lot. But my learning curve has always been that you buy rough cut, you start milling it, you get it down to where it's half milled to where you want it, you put it into like the environment it's going to be in, and then if it starts cupping again or whatever, you can put it back through the planer and bring it down to the thickness you want. Chances are, because it's stored outside under a tarp, it's got a lot of extra moisture in it. As long as that moisture sits in that wood, you can't really just like go in, mill it, put it down, and expect it not to crack, not to peel, not to warp. So that's my training, and I've been doing it for quite a few years. So yeah, I don't know. New wood, I learned building decks that you don't leave spaces between your boards. You tuck them tight together. You don't put just one screw down. You use two to hold the outside edges down. And you do that on every floor joist or whatever, porch joist. And then when it shrinks, it actually leaves you that 1/4 inch gap between the two boards. So I've always done that. I learned that a long time ago, and it's just the way it goes. Yeah, actually, Julie, I actually was looking at an old barn they're getting ready to tear down. And I was like, how many of these beams could I use to build my house? The problem is the old barn is like 45 minutes from me. And to haul them or have them hauled all the way down to Arkansas to build my house would be an outrageous cost. But that was done with board and beam. And it was a really, really nice built barn. The frame of the barn is awesome. The foundation of the barn is what's failing, so the whole barn is starting to fall over. But the frame itself is very solid, and I mean, you're talking drilling and pegging the beams together kind of thing. And I really like that. I really like that. And one of the things I used to like too is when the guy, the farmer guy that sold my parents the property they built their house on, when we went into his house, there was already an established dump out behind his house. So as they're like tearing the plaster and lath off the walls, we're loading it onto this wagon that we used our lawnmower for to take it out and dump it. And while I was out there dumping the load, I seen some crocks. And I was like, oh, I want to see these crocks out of the dirt and cleaned up. I want to see what they are. I think I probably made as much money off of those crocks, taking them out of the dirt and cleaning them up, as my parents paid for the house. Real seriously. I mean, there was pickling crocks. There was all kinds of crocks. And they were awesome. I mean, they didn't have a lot. Some of them had little tiny fracture cracks in them, but it was only in the glazing. It wasn't through the whole crock. And they were like the old blue and kind of a tan colored crocks and the dark brown and tan colored crocks. Some of them were blue with bright white. Those were the newer ones. But we found lots of those. We found lots of old bottles. The insulators from when they used to have the telephone wires running across with the glass insulators. We had white, we had clear, we had brown, we had green, and we had blue. And we were setting them up at a garage sale and saying, okay, based on the color, most of them were $2 each. If they were clear, they were $3 each. If they were green and clear, they were $4 each. If they were blue and clear, they were $5 each. And people were coming like every weekend. They'd come to that garage sale wanting to know how many more we could get. Blue dishes. Blue dishes were awesome. We found probably 90% of a blue dish set. And we're talking impression glass. I mean, you hold it up and you can see the air bubbles in the glass. It was very, very old glass. I think we found 90% of a dining room set digging through that dump, because I refused to put anything more on a dump until we got through digging through the dump that was there and finding all these treasures. And I was like, this is pretty cool. I enjoyed it. And I spent probably almost every day after I got out of school, I'd be out there digging in the dump. During the summer months, the only time I would be on the tractor going up is my dad would yell down, hey, I got another load. Okay, great. I get on tractor, go up, he'd load it up, I'd bring it back down, and I'd dump it off to the side. I wouldn't even dump it on the dump. I wanted to go through that whole dump. And I think it was like probably 8 months or 9 months that I was able to dig through that dump before I finally had to start moving the trash back over to the real dump, because I was creating divots and holes and stuff, and that was going to turn out to be part of the yard. And I dug up so many treasures. It was awesome. It was awesome. One thing I will say now is I found an awesome pair of shoes. I'm going to show you the bottom of them just because I can. How they look like toes? Well, that's because these are called barefoot hikers, and they're non-slip. If you're putting a metal roof onto any building, I don't care what the slope is, barefoot hikers is the way to go. These things, I can squeak them on this floor, and this floor isn't exactly super clean. I can guarantee you I could get on a metal roof and walk up and down that roof. I don't know the brand name or whatever. I just bought the cheapest pair on Amazon. But I guarantee you, these things do not slip at all on any surface. My bathroom is a shiny tile floor, and they hold onto that floor like nothing I've ever played with before. And they're comfortable. They're very comfortable. I think I paid $25 for them. So they're really cool shoes. But yeah, if you're working on a house that has a metal roof, this goes out to Drifting Dreamers 5, Mr. Mike Smith. You need a pair of these shoes when you're up there working on those roofs, because I'll be honest with you, you can walk up and down that roof and never slide. Never slide. I was kind of hoping we get somebody in here with a mic or whatnot, but I'm not seeing it. Wow, that's really cool, Julia. That is really cool. Hey, Julia, I got to ask you, do you have a YouTube channel or anything like that? Because if you do, I would like to be able to share possibly your channel name or a link, or have you share your name, and I'll go see if I can find the link to it. Hey, Tasha Lynn, how we doing? Are you set up to come in and chat? Yeah, you're not really late, Tasha. The only time you're late is when I'm already over. Yeah, actually, I'm doing pretty good, Tasha. I'm actually enjoying my life at the moment, even though things aren't going the way I planned them to go. It's still okay. It's still okay. I've got things in my future planned. One of them is to quit smoking, and I'm really looking forward to that. All right. Well, Julia, that's nice to know. Have you thought about creating a channel? I mean, you're talking about finding old wagons and with bullet holes and arrows through it and stuff. And you don't have to be like exciting. That was the one thing I learned about YouTube. You don't have to always be super exciting. You just have to be there and be able to put out some kind of a content. It doesn't matter what it is. It really doesn't. You could just say, I want to do a channel, and I found all these waterfalls in my area, so I'm gonna do video of the waterfalls. People will watch them. If you're in a really cool area like I am, you can just drive down the road, have the camera mounted in the dash of your car, and people will watch the video just to see what your area of the country looks like. So that's kind of another thing that I kind of like. We're heading into fall right now. In my area, fall is beautiful. I mean, we've already got leaves falling off the trees, but the trees haven't really started changing color yet. When they do, oh, be watching, because I'll be throwing out videos of that. There's no doubt about it. This part of New York, and Natasha's familiar with New York. This part of New York is beautiful when fall sets in. I mean, I live in the Seven Valley area, so I can take you up on top of the highest hills and show you all of the hills and the valleys with all the different colors of leaves and all that stuff. It's beautiful out here this time of year. I'll be doing that, and I'll be doing a lot of different things, driving around country roads or whatever. If I ever get my truck back from the garage, I will probably put my phone running the camera on the dash of my truck and take you down some really nice country roads where there's like really cool areas. We've got, I don't know how many dirt roads right here local to me where it's just awesome. Some of it takes you out to farmers' fields. Some of them take you where there's really nice houses being built, but they haven't paved the road yet. That's one of mine that's really local to me right now. I just have to like set the camera and pay attention to where I'm driving, because that road is rutted. That road is rutted so bad. I actually pulled a FedEx driver over and said, "Hey, at your next opportunity, pull into a driveway, turn around, and follow me, and I'll take you to where you're going on a paved road." Because that poor FedEx guy, his truck was going like this all the way down the road. He was falling into ruts and coming out of ruts and falling into the next ones. And I was like, man, I don't want you to tip your truck over. So I told him, I said, pull into a driveway. The next one you can find is big enough for you to get into. Turn around. I'll go down a little bit farther and I'll turn around. I got a four-wheel drive truck, so it doesn't matter to me. This is them wait for me to pass and they get behind me. I'll take you to the address you're going to, and it's a paved road. Where you're going right now, that's not a paved road. It's a dirt road, and it's terrible. And because of so much construction going on, all these big tractor trailers and trucks and everything else are really rutting the crap out of it. And there's no way for like a FedEx truck to get out of those ruts. My truck's a little narrower, so I could stay in between them. But he couldn't. He was just like, I'm in, I'm out, I'm in, I'm out. And when we got done, he was like, man, that was so good. Thank you for doing that for me. And I was like, well, you're using your GPS. And GPS always gets you to where you want to be, but it's not always the best route. Well, actually, Julia, family history is very interesting to a lot of people. Maybe not to your kids or whatever, but to other people in the world, especially people from around that area, they would sit back going, oh, yeah, this is awesome. I actually have people that were college students in my town, well, my county, not my town. My town doesn't have a college, but in my county, we have Cortland State University, which is a school that teaches teachers pretty much. And I've actually had those students reaching out to me going, hey, what about doing a video with you just like going downtown Cortland and taking pictures of all the old buildings that are still there and kind of give a little bit of a history of it? And I'm like, I used to have a website that did that stuff. I really did. It was called Cortland Connection. No, I'm sorry, Cortland Online, cortlandonline.org. And I actually researched a lot of the information about the history of my area, and I shared it. Not on video, but on links and pages and all the text messaging and all that stuff. I shared all that on that website. I don't have it anymore. But for me to go back and get that information again and be able to share it on a video, I think I would have probably a lot of people that used to go to this school that would actually go out and say, hey, thanks for sharing this. Some of them have already asked me to do it. So I'm kind of leaning towards it. My problem is time. I got things I want to do. I got things that I do that I probably shouldn't worry about doing, like watching all of my friends on YouTube. Trent and Allie, those are my number ones that I watch. Natasha Lynn can testify to this one. We both watched the video today. I actually put a reply on her reply. So we watch a lot of the same stuff. I spend a lot of time watching YouTube videos. I got Dave over there to Come On Mountain, Milkman. I got Tim Roberts and Jennifer Rogers over there to, Bridge Life. I got Melanie and Gary over to Simple Life Reclaimed. I've got Roxanne and Anthony over to Country Road Cure. There's just so many that I watch, and I do that every day, regardless. Now, Trent and Ellie, Mondays and Fridays, and there was a Monday last week where they didn't put a video out. I emailed them. Is everything all right? You didn't put out a video. I care about these people. I care about all of them. I met a lot of them. Simply Jan. I met her. She's a wonderful lady. Annie Ann, I met her. She's a wonderful lady. She's a moderator. I'm a moderator on a couple channels. She's a moderator on many. How she can do that, I have no idea. It's all Grady, Ivy Family Factotum. Our Mountain Home. Working with Wiley. HalfAss Homestead. I watch all those guys. But I also watch the other ones that are kind of weird, but I like them. Is Arkansas State Transparency. And there's a couple other ones that are in Arkansas that cover the police chases and stuff like that. If they put a video out, I watch it. I really do. I watch it. I comment on a lot of them. Actually, I just commented on one from State Boys today from Ohio, where this guy thought he was a sanctuary citizen. He didn't need to provide any information. He was just going to drive. He said, "Well, you're driving." He says, "No, I'm not. I'm traveling." And he took off from him. I thought for sure that guy had on a dress. I really did. It turned out his shorts matched his shirt, but when he was sitting in that car, it looked like he had a dress on. And I was like, well, maybe the officer offended him by misgendering him. Them they don't like to be misgendered, you know what I'm saying? But I watch all kinds of videos, and I try to keep up on them. You know, there's a lot of them. Uh, I'm also big on the two-way movement, so I watch Langley Outdoor Academy. I watch can't come up with the name of it right now, but I watch him. Jared, he's another friend of mine, and I watch just a bunch of stuff like that. But I also watch what's going on with our political theater. I just watched one tonight. How Kamala Harris isn't going to win the election if she doesn't answer any questions. Not that I want her to, but you know, I mean, I'm a Trump guy. But it's like I watch all that kind of stuff, and you know, Johnny Baggins, Johnny B. He puts out Spicy Friday and Hump Day Wednesdays every week. He throws out memes and he shares all of the memes that he gets for the week, and then he shows his best one at the last. I like that, you know. There's another one out there. Oh yeah, it's Education. Education does a bunch of memes and stuff and shares them out and laughs about them and talks about them and stuff. I love Trent and Ellie. I watch every one of their videos. And their new son Billy, oh my God, he is such a little cutie. He's gonna take after Mama, I believe. Leo, I'm not too sure. Leo's kind of a toss up between Mama and Dad, but little Billy, I think he's gonna take after more Mama. He looks more Mama. Although I love his little mohawk right now, but I know he's not gonna keep it. But yeah, I mean, there's so many channels that I watch. There's so many people I pay attention to, and I try to do my best. I want to keep track of what's going on with the 2A. I want to try to keep track of what's going on with the election. I want to kind of keep track of what's going on with the channels that I watch. You know, it's all Grady, Junk to Gems, all these guys. I want to know what they're doing. I want to watch what they're doing. I want to see how they're doing it. And it's always just it's like a nonstop roll. Well, when you get involved in all that stuff, it makes it really hard to say, okay, well now I need to walk away because I have things I need to get done too. That was my go-to on this one. And part of me quitting smoking is going to be I need to go to my go-to. I can't sit here and watch all these guys watching what they do and not get anything of my own done because now I don't have anything to occupy my mind or occupy my hands. I'm just watching videos. And I do. I watch way too many videos. And I admit it, you know. I mean, it's an easy rabbit hole to fall into if you especially when you find a channel that you really like, you know. I'm really glad to see that they got the stairs put up. I'm sorry that she fell down, but I'm glad to see they got the stairs put up so she doesn't fall down anymore. Things like that, you know. I mean, I could have built those stairs in a day. Seriously. I've only done one set of stairs in my life so far, but I could have built that set of stairs in a day because I know what the measurements are and I know how to figure it out. And it took them what almost a month to put up a set of stairs. All right, Julia, I understand that. Go grab your oxygen. I do understand that. So it's just one of those things, you know. I mean, there's a lot of different shows I like to watch. There's a lot of different. I don't watch TV. That's my big thing. I do not watch TV. I do watch a lot of Fox News, but there's some things that go on Fox News On my Facebook page, I share quite a few, but there's many that I won't share because there's things that they say on Fox News that just POs me. You know, if I can't stomach what they're saying, I don't share it. I don't want anybody else to see it, and I just leave it alone. You know, same thing with like Dan Bongino. There you go, Atasha. Dan Bongino. Dan Bongino. That guy has not lied to me in 3.5 frickin' years. That guy, when he puts stuff out, he puts it out and he brings it in light long before anybody else ever sees it. Long before. And he's always right. I've never seen Dan Bongino lie to me. Well, we're talking a guy that used to work for the Secret Service that actually did training for people that were joining the Secret Service. That guy is awesome. Awesome. I like Dan Bongino. There's a couple others that are like Greg Gutfield on Fox News. I may not always agree with him, but I'll tell you what, he's always funnier than heck. Yeah, he does, Tasha. He brings the receipts out and he tells everybody just where it sits. And he's been very, very honest with it. And he's been very, very good. Alex Jones used to be really, really good on a lot of stuff. The one thing about Alex Jones was that he kind of reached out in the wrong direction there for a bit with conspiracies. And I stopped watching Alex Jones, you know. Well, these students are all still alive. This is a farce. Yeah, no, they aren't. And those aren't the same kids. They might look alike, but they aren't the same. So when he did that, I was just like, yeah, okay, Alex, I'm going to leave you alone. You are a conspiracy. So you're done, you know. And I do that with a lot of them. I really do. But there's a lot of channels out there that every once in a while surprise me. You know, South Texas Roots, another good one. I like that channel. I like to see what him and his dad and his brother are doing on his house, and I watch it. And I'm concerned about his dad's health, so I watch whatever they put out. You know, you got South Texas Roots and STR Talks. I watch almost all of their videos, and I actually like Jared. He's part of the Crocker family, so if you ever watch Coffee with Chickens with the Crockers or whatever it is, that's out there. Yeah, Coffee with the Chickens, that's White Rock. I'm sorry. I watch them too. Jason and Tara. And I watch Sizzle and Clarissa for Michigan Life Above the 45th Parallel. You know, there's just so many channels that are out there that are good, and I watch all of them, or as many as I can. But as one person doing it, it's just very hard to try to keep up with everybody. Yeah, Jared is. He's an awesome person. Jared Crocker. For a guy that has a handicap, he works harder than I do. And his handicap is worse than mine. That says a lot. I've watched him go up and down ladders. I've watched him out walking around with chainsaws, cutting down trees and doing all kinds of stuff. You don't see me doing that. You know, I should be doing it, but you won't see me doing it. Me going up and down, hey, Greg and Gina, how we doing? What's life like down in Binghamton area, brother? Sister? I should be like working like that, but I can't go up and down ladders. My left foot is messed up so bad that I can't do ladders. If I had like a scaffold to climb up and stand on, I'd probably be all right as long as my foot didn't tweak on the way up. That would be all right. But I can't do ladders. There's no way I can do up and down ladders. But he does. I watched him carrying shingles up to his roof. And he carried a lot of them. And I was like, man, Jared's really getting this up. I can't do that. I used to when I was younger. I mean, back when I was like 20 years old, I don't know how many bundles I'd carry up a ladder at a time, you know. I only had one accident, and all the time I did construction roofing work and stuff like that was I had a sheet of plywood in front of me on the ladder, and I was pushing it up the ladder in front of me, and I got it all the way to the top of the ladder where I could have just pushed it over and got it onto the roof. And a windstorm caught that sheet and pulled it back, and I tried to catch the sheet. I caught it at about halfway point, so it kind of turned into like a parachute, and it sent me slowly to the ground. But I hit the ground hard, and that sheet hit me hard when I hit the ground. And my boss fell off the same roof, and we had a bunch of sheets of plywood leaning up against the house. When he fell off the roof, he hit those sheets of plywood and slid underneath his truck. We spent a half an hour looking for him. He was knocked out under his truck. So I was like, okay, I don't feel so bad, you know. He actually got kind of hurt. I didn't. My ego was hurt. My feelings were hurt. But I wasn't really hurt because I was able to parachute down and then the sheet of plywood slapped me. Well, that sheet of plywood was the same thing I was pushing up the ladder. It ain't that freaking heavy. But when you go underneath the truck, yeah, you got hit pretty hard. He wasn't even holding on plywood when he did it. We were taking a roof truss around an L-shaped house, and he was the middleman and forgot to let go. So his stupidity, not mine. I don't care. Yeah, Greg and Gina, I'm gonna be honest. I'm amazed. Like right now, it's 63 degrees outside where I'm at. We've had days where I get up in the morning and it's 40 degrees, and we've had days at like noon it's like 83. There's no happy medium. There's no happy medium in this part of New York. I try to find days where it's really nice out to go out, work in my gardens, hang out with the chickens or do whatever. But there's days where it's just so darn cold. I don't want to go out. If I don't have an excuse to go out, I don't go out. My chickens, they're fed, They got an automatic water. I don't know how I'm going to keep that going for the winter. I probably won't be able to, so I'll probably have to do something different, like put a manual water in the chicken coop and keep it next to like a heater to keep it from freezing up. But for now, I got everything on an automatic water. Their feeder is huge. And I've only got 5 now. I had 4. I only got 5 now. And the little tiny one, he or she doesn't eat very much at all. I mean, that's nothing. I give them half a watermelon rind, and that'll last them 2 weeks. And they don't really go after the food a whole lot while they're going on that. So I don't really need to be out there every day. But if it's nice out, I do go out and I kind of hang out with them a little bit. I can't pet them. They're not that friendly. Most of them are pretty scared of me, which is weird because I go out and I feed them all the time. And the little one should be able to come right up to me because he kept escaping the chicken run, and I was taking it back and giving it back to Mama. And I did that for 4 days. Now it stays in with Mama. So Mama's like, yeah, you don't want to be around that guy. He's an idiot. And so the little one's kind of like, yeah, I don't want to be around it. I don't know. I see people down there with their chickens, and like Anthony, his chickens will get right up on his shoulder. Of course, they peck him in the eye, but his chickens will get up on his shoulder, and he'll pat them, and he'll do all kinds of stuff with them. My chickens aren't that friendly. I don't spend that much time with them. Yeah, I leave them for work at 2 a.m. It's crazy cold. I mean, we've had ice on our windows already. And it's like, what? We've had days where the fog has been so thick. My garage sits 35 feet in front of me through my window, and I could not see my garage. My seed house is like 15 feet in front of me. I can't see the roof of my seed house. It's just nothing but a white blanket, and it's heavy, and it's just there. We used to call that pea soup fog. You go in and you cut a square out, blow it out of the way, and now you can see where you're going. Yeah, you ain't doing that with this fog. It's not happening. And it takes till like 11 o'clock in the morning some days to burn off to where I can actually see the seed house and I can see my garage and things like that. I mean, it's nuts. It's nuts. I got a big ass maple tree right here behind me. Half of the leaves on that tree are already turning brown halfway through, not quite all the way through yet, but halfway through. So it makes the tree look uglier than crap. And it's been dropping leaves in my yard like crazy. And I'm just like, okay, we'll mow them over, throw them over up the hill, and maybe it'll cover up the garbage that's over the bank. I don't know. You know, it's terrible. It's terrible. Oh, I imagine. I imagine. I don't want to drive through thick fog like that because you can't see the headlights of the car in front of you when they're 10 feet in front of you. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to drive through heavy fogs like that. Actually, I refuse to. I had a day I was supposed to go take my mom grocery shopping. And I told her, I'll get up at 8 o'clock in the morning. I'll be there about 8:30. And I called her up at 8:05 or something like that. I says, yeah, you might not want to be planning on going grocery shopping too early. Keep the coffee on, but I'm not leaving the house till I can see the road. I could not literally see anything off the end of my driveway. It was so thick. And I was just like, until I can see the road, I'm not driving. If I can see the road from my driveway, and the road's not that far from my driveway. I mean, we're talking probably 60 feet total from the front of the seat house to the road. When I can get in the car and I can see the road in front of me, I'll do the trip. But I'm not going to guarantee I'm going to be there within a half hour like I normally would either, because if I can only see 25 feet in front of me down the road, I'm not going to be going fast. I'm going to be watching and I'm going to be looking, because I don't know if there's a car broke down in front of me or a farm tractor, which is my area. You know, farm tractors in my area are a really, really serious thing to have to keep your eyes open for. Those guys are doing maybe 10 miles an hour down a 45, 55-mile speed zone. And they don't have the orange triangles and they don't have the flashing lights. It's just a tractor driving down the road with whatever's behind it. And there's no signal to tell you, hey, that's them in front of you. I've done it. I've done it quite a few times. I actually pulled a farmer over one time, and I gave him a really nice strobe system to put on top of his truck, because what he was pulling behind him was pitch black. It was raining, and the roads were wet, and whatever he was pulling behind him was wet, so they matched. It was a perfect blend. So I pulled him over in a pull-off area. He thought I was a cop because my light on my truck is a special light. I pulled him over and I was like, dude, I couldn't even see you in front of me. That's why I've been behind you for the last 3 miles with this light on, because I couldn't see you. I had my 4 ways on and I had my light on. I pulled him over and he's like, wow, man, I thought you were a cop. No, I'm not a cop, but let me do you a favor. Let me give you this light. It was not just a regular strobe. It was a nice light. Not as nice as what I've got on my truck, but it was nice light. I said, put this in your truck. Whenever you're hauling farm equipment like this, put it on top of your truck. It's magnetic. Put it on top of your truck. Leave your window down a little bit to run the cord in and plug it into your cigarette lighter. So people behind you know that you've got something behind you, because I could not see what you were pulling down the road. I actually couldn't see you in front of me at all. And he's like, well, I appreciate it. I'm only going about another mile up the road. And well, that's fine, but, just do this. And he did. He put it on top of his truck. He plugged it in. It did light it up a little bit, but not a lot. So I followed him back to his farm. That was 5 miles down the road. That's just another mile. Yeah, no, it wasn't. It was another 5 miles. So I stayed behind him and just followed him all the way to the farm. And when he pulled into the farm driveway, I pulled into the farm driveway, and I was like, dude, you know those orange triangles that tell you this is farm equipment? Put one on the back of all your equipment. You need to have this on the back of it. I can see the orange triangle. I can't see the black equipment you're pulling behind you, but because that equipment is so large, I can't see the tractor in front of it either. I didn't even know I was coming up on equipment until I was right on the equipment. I could have hit that equipment. I was so freaking close when I realized I'm not following the road right now. I'm following a piece of equipment. I don't know if he ever did. I don't care if he ever did, but if he did, he did. If he didn't, he didn't. But, life goes on. All right, well, everybody, it's after 9 o'clock. I think we are going to be looking at Johnny and Christine at Gillum Farms right now being live. So everybody have a great rest of your weekend, and I will see you again next Saturday night. Catch you all later.